And I'm surprised at how little experience the students seem to have doing it. But I think at the end of the course, we make up a lot of that deficit. The problem is, though, I think, for the students, is that it's too rare of an experience, either in our curriculum or at their stage in the curriculum. And thus, they spend a lot of time just coming to terms with it. I don't think they fully understand the goals of it. They're still looking, as we all would, for the certainty of being able to recite back a certain set of facts. And when it comes to interpretation, they're less confident, which sometimes comes out to being turning into a resistance. And I try to deal with that resistance by explaining why we're doing it, and I think that gets me some recruits. but it's still a very difficult thing for them to come to terms with. I've been taking careful measurements now since 2012. So I have 3 years of cohort data, 3 years and as many as 2 years per year, right? Because I measure the 200 and the 300, and some number of 200s become my 300. They're self-selecting. So they'll have experienced something of my flipped classroom already by the time they're 300, and their understanding of it is better. That gives me confidence that if it was a more uniform experience across the department or across the curriculum, that even my 200s would gain benefit from these active learning experiences in a way that they're not benefiting now. So my answer to you is absolutely, it's part of our culture. This has to be a cultural change to these kinds of new learning techniques or alternative learning techniques to the lecture. It has to be a cultural change. We can't do it as individual teachers. And again, evidence for this, I think, is that when I get sort of still naive 100 levels students and introduce these techniques, they're taken up really well by the 100 level students. And in the course I'm talking about, there's two, I think the course I'm talking about makes this point especially strongly. First of all, it's a course for those who failed. So it's a 100 level remedial course. It's not the broad spectrum of student. It's very much the student at the really low end of the grade scale, but motivated enough to take a remedial course. They really embrace these techniques, and it really made an effect on them. The other thing that was different is that every single lecturer in the remedial course adopted this package. They didn't take parts of what I've done and kind of replicate it. They really bought into the full package. And thus, there was cohesion between all of us as lecturers in that course in the way we taught. Not what we taught, in the way we taught. That unifying experience worked. So my answer is that I really believe some tools will never be useful unless we have a cultural change in the way we adopt the tool. Now that's not to say that all tools are equal and will work if we adopt them uniformly. Some tools probably don't work, or we can't implement them in a way that makes them work. But in order to determine that, we have to remove the barrier we can control, which is our reluctance to create a cohesive experience.